Good evening, Toastmasters, and most importantly, good evening to Lloyd. Lloyd is local to Crawley. This is his second meeting, so in the audacious step he will be taking, wasn't quite the best bit, I got the word in, he will be giving his icebreaker speech, a 4 to 6 minute speech to tell you all about Lloyd. I won't say too much more about him, apart from that he works in data management for a firm of surveyors, because I don't want to take away what he is about to tell you. So please welcome Lloyd.
Thank you very much. Good evening, guys. I'm so new to it all. Last week was the other week was my first ever Toastmasters meeting. Never been to one before. I had no preconceived ideas of what I was coming to, so I'm unsure if I'm allowed to film it or not. But I'm just going to chuck it there, and just because I'll rip myself apart as well as you guys, no doubtedly. Right. Because I was unsure what to do, I went online and just literally checked to see what I could wear. And it all said white shirt, tie, stick with that. So I went with that, but I've left my trainers on, purely because where I work, they run a strict, clear desk policy, and they want an agile workspace. Because my computer has certain software on it, I'm not agile. So I've been wearing my Asics running shoes for the entire month they've been enforcing it. And not a single person has mentioned why I'm wearing them. I'm walking around the office like they're slippers, and all I want someone to say is, because I can't move desks, this is as agile I can be, most agile. But no one's done it. Right, my name's Lloyd Hanslow. As it was mentioned, I'm from Crawley, around the corner. I'm 41 and a half. The reason I tell you this, if you could quickly, just bear in mind, just for a second, what you've done on your 40th birthday, and I'll tell you what I've done, and how over the past year I've changed my career completely. So when I was 15, I joined the army. I was doing karate for the country at the time, but I went in and I then became a member of the army boxing team. Got in that was great. Done a welding apprenticeship, and then from there, I joined the Paras. After 2 years, I was in the Paras for 5 months, but then I got a bit disillusioned, so I left there and went up to Yorkshire to become a Royal Engineer, and it was great. I must just add, I was unsure how long a time I was given. I've got the books, but I can't really read them. I don't have them with me. So I just decided I'll start and I'll finish, and I might go off piece a bit in the middle. My icebreaker speech at start, I should have said initially, I was going to call it The Man That People Knew. And there's a reason behind it, and I'll come into that later. So I went up to Yorkshire. From there, I became the Sergeant Major's driver, travelled everywhere, went to Bosnia, fantastic, really got to know him, came back from Bosnia 18, had all these different courses lined up, went for my diving aptitude. They give you a 5-minute medical, you do loads of step tests, done that, my heart rate went up to 240, come off it, doctor sent me back to my room, and I was given a month off, and I thought, brilliant. But on the flip side, that was the end of my career, because I then suffered, they then made out that they discovered that I was diabetic, and I was then moved into a place that nobody ever goes. It was the squadron library. And it was basically career death. So what I'd done, not disillusioned, I turned the library into a gym. And I just done a roaring trade in fake blood for some obscure reason. I don't know what people are into, but I used to get rid of a lot of it. So I turned it into a gym. Because I was always down the gym as well, I got sidetracked, and the Sergeant Major there then took me and said, we'll have Lloyd as a gym instructor. So I went off to the Army School of PT, became a gym instructor, and then over the next 12 months, I sort of really enjoyed it. I became orange, long blonde hair, I grew a set of boobs, and I just become a walking set of arms. And that was basically my job. From there, I went to Training Reg, and I was with 30 other Chippendales. That's what they called them. I don't know. It was a great life, and it was just a professional. Well, that's when I started public speaking in a kind of fashion, because I'd speak to 30 or 40 recruits, they would laugh at all my jokes, and they would listen intently. But in retrospect, I would tell them to pin it back or push them out, your choice. So it was kind of, I got used to it very quickly. So that job was fantastic. Whilst I was there, they had a dry ski slope. I then started snowboarding. They had a lake. So I started windsurfing, then I started to move in those circles, so I took up kite surfing. And I kite surfed for 17 years up to last year till I stopped, which was fantastic. I also worked alongside civilian instructors, which got half the hassle, but had a great life. They weren't affected. They were like immune from the management. So I gave my year's notice. I then went on to join the civilian side. And after a year, I handed my notice in just before Christmas, came back after Christmas, and my gym boss said to me, Lloyd, you need to pop for a medical. I went for a medical, and I was presented with a big fat doctor that I didn't get on with. And he said, Lloyd, I'm telling you now, I disapproved you being in the army, being a gym instructor and adventure training instructor. I'm not going to allow you to continue it. So I'm not passing your medical. So I ended up in civilian life with no career. So I couldn't rejoin the forces, couldn't join the police force, fire brigade, nothing. So I spoke to a friend and said, you do this industrial climbing. What is the score? Do you need a medical? And he said, no, you just tick a box. And I thought, sweet. So I ticked the box. Yeah, I'm fit to go, good to go. You know, and this guy rocked up. He's fit. He's slightly faded orange. Still had a set of arms on me. Not anymore. They've gone. And I got into the industrial climbing game. And these are the guys you see cleaning the windows on the outside of buildings. But on the flip side, there are guys with trades, a bit like myself. But I was a welder, so I started doing that again. I started working in the non-destructive technology. You know where they there's an R there. You know where they get the women's ultrasound. They look at the child in the womb, in the stomach. You can use that to penetrate metal to work out the impurities within the metal, which can detract from the strength of it. There are certain criteria that you need to fulfill. So I started doing that offshore, and it was fabulous. Loved it. But the thing was, you are not allowed to be offshore and be diabetic. And nobody knows this. It's such a huge thing. So what I'd done, I was like MacGyver. I would strip all the components down to my diabetic stuff, and I would go with insulin in my shoes, needles in my pockets, stuff hidden in my bags. But it's not normal, because what they would do, you turn up, you place your bags on a conveyor. They then go through the conveyor, they're X-rayed. And then on the other side, somebody takes them to the thing, you take a couple of side steps, and they take everything out of your bag. All the meantime, my heart is going like an absolute rocket, because I know they find one item, career over, career death a second time. But it's possible. And I proved it to be possible for 7 years working offshore with 100% effect. Admittedly, there were times where I turned up on an oil platform, expecting to be there for 2 weeks, and was there for 2 months, just making it home for Christmas. So what I had to do was work out exactly how much medication I could take without getting ill. So it was a bit of a play game. Not ideal, but where there's a means, it's possible. So I done that. And I just finished in Norway 18 months ago. Fabulous. I just landed a 3-year contract. Fantastic money. Wife was happy, didn't have to work, spinning around. My 40th birthday was approaching. I was doing squats like you wouldn't believe. Because I kite surf, the plan was always to go to Hawaii and go kite surfing in the big waves, because I was a surf instructor when I was teaching the adventure training game. So, and I was on the horizon was a Porsche 911, and that's what I wanted. It was a real midlife crisis. I am not going to kid you. But what happened? I went home and I woke up one morning, and my vision was like a photograph negative, all brown and black. So I got my bags, went to the hospital, because at that point I really couldn't see. I couldn't use my phone, couldn't use my computer, and I saw the doctor and said, I'm here. What can we do? How can we fix this? And he said, Lloyd, I'm really sorry, you've had optic neuritis, and what you have now is it. He said, you are now on the blind register for the country. And for those of you that don't know, I am on the blind register, and I am classed as legally blind. So not only did I wake up just before my 40th, that was a complete career ender. That you can't be a blind welder and stuff like that. It doesn't work out. Don't get me wrong, the kids say to me, Dad, but you can't drive, because I moved the car on the drive. And I say to the kids, but I can drive. It's no good for pedestrians. Sorry, I'm just looking at the clock, and I've got to wind it up. Right, just really quickly. When I was growing up, we used to pass this guy, this old guy. To me now, I look back and I can see that he had a brain injury. And he used to be walking around picking up bottle tops. He was a bit odd to me. But my mum always used to say, such a shame, he had the world at his feet, he was a good-looking guy at school, he used to thunder around on a motorbike, what a great guy. And I just thought, that is so sad, because everything in my life now has become I was, I did, I'd done, and I'm not a guy that lives in the past. I'm a guy that lives in today. And the thing is, I don't want to be the man people knew. I want to be the man that people know. And I think that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lloyd.
Thank you.